I predicted a 2-0 series win to South Africa, and I haven't changed my opinion. I think the Springboks are going to win in Durban. But let's do a thought experiment. What if the Irish can get up? Here are the ways that I believe the Irish could beat South Africa in the rematch this weekend. Now, the most important thing is that they need to get off to a hot start. There's a little thing in life, it's called recency bias, and that means we pay more attention to the stuff that just happened than stuff that happened earlier. So probably the indelible memory from the match was that amazing Springboks scrum at the end, which just splintered the Irish, penalty try. But really, the damage was done a lot earlier. The Irish did not get off to a good start. They looked jaded. They looked more tired than South Africa. I didn't see it on attack. I saw it on defense. And that is usually the telling sign when a team like Ireland that has phenomenal line speed, some of the best in the world alongside England, to be honest with you, they were just lagging. Defense often reveals the truth about how a team is doing mentally. How hungry are they? Well, they didn't look anywhere near as hungry as the Springboks in the opening 20 minutes, and I think that should actually give some hope to Irish fans. It's not like the Springboks beat an Irish team at the absolute top of their game. I felt it was a slightly subpar performance by the Irish, and that gives some hope. If they can get their line speed up in the opening 20 minutes of the game, rattle the Springboks, knock them back on their feet, it might change the overall trajectory of the game. What we saw on the weekend was the Springboks finding space way too easily on attack, fueling their confidence, getting a roll on, playing a more and more expansive game. Yeah, the rot pretty much started in the opening minutes. So if Ireland can start hot, they're going to go a long way to winning the second test match in Durban. The second area I would be laser focused on as an Irishman is the breakdown. Because here's the interesting thing about the game on the weekend. Yes, it was a very dominant win by the Springboks. And yet at times they were shaded at the breakdown. There was some fantastic stuff that the Irish were doing at the rucks. Now in the first half, neither team could really get clean, fast ball. You could see it written all over the faces of both halfbacks. Faf de Klerk was upset, the Irish halfback was upset, because the pill was just stuck under a mass of bodies. But there were times in the second half that Ireland was starting to get some clean, quick ruck ball, and they looked much better for it. Now here is the thing. South Africa is playing a much more expansive style under their new attacking coach, Tony Brown from New Zealand. Still sad that we lost him, to be honest, as an All Black fan, but good for the Springboks. But what we're seeing is a new look SpringB Attack, where you have loosies in the tram lines on either side. We saw the surprising sight of Sia Khaleesi and Pieter-Steph du Toit rampaging down the sidelines like wingers. Pieter-Steph du Toit was offloading the ball with one hand. I've never seen that before. Now, my first instinct was that my butthole puckered up and I thought, great, just what we need. Now the Springboks have better attack. But there is a price to pay for situating your loose forwards on either side of the field like that. And that is, what happens if the ball gets turned over? What if the rucks start getting messy? Well, now your two best jackals are pretty far away from the breakdown potentially. And that's why the Irish need to hammer into the rucks, counter-ruck like their lives depend on it. Because if they can turn over the ball, there are opportunities in midfield. You got to remember in rugby that for every tactic that gives you an advantage somewhere, you might be losing something somewhere else. And with the Springboks spreading their forwards across the field, they are potentially vulnerable at the breakdown if they are going to turn over the ball. So, ruck, boys. Ruck like your goddamn lives depend on it. And that brings me to my last point here, chaos theory. Now, normally the Irish play a very structured game. Their set piece is excellent. Their attack is just a thing of beauty. Choreographed plays, backline players chiming in from depth, intricate moves. Yeah, that's what I kind of think of when I think about Ireland in the last 5 years with their 79% winning record. And yet on the weekend, they looked better when the game broke down. Now look, you could argue it was garbage time at the end when the Irish split through the midfield and scored a beautiful try in the 78th minute. But, nevertheless, they were able to sidestep around the tiring Springbok forwards, create a bit of space in the midfield, penetrate through, and score. They were able to take advantage when the game started getting loose. So if they can find a way to actually make the game a little less structured, I'm thinking more contestable high balls with a phenomenal kick chase, they might actually have a better chance of breaking through that Springbok defense. Now, it's very ominous when the bomb squad comes on for South Africa, but you got to remember, these are big units. They do eventually get tired. And we just started to see in the last 10 minutes a little bit of space opening up as some of those bigger South African bodies were feeling perhaps a little bit wary. The more the Irish can create an unstructured, counter-attacking environment, the more likely they are to win this game. Now, I don't normally say that about Ireland, but this is a unique proposition. This is the Springboks in South Africa. I tend to think that a more anarchic game is actually going to favour the men in light green from Ireland. But what do you guys think? Can Ireland win this? It's a stretch, to be honest. The Springboks looked incredibly dominant. The first test match more or less went as I predicted it, and I do think the Boks are going to be good enough to win in round 2. Let me know what you think the final score is going to be on the weekend, and I'll be back for another video real soon. Take it easy, guys. Bye for now. Whoosh.